President George W. Bush talking about some of the most divisive moments of his administration.
Why is waterboarding legal, in your opinion?
Waterboarding, Katrina, and a moment with his mom that changed his life forever. The 43rd president opens up. For the first time since he left office, we're hearing from President George W. Bush about the most controversial and emotional moments of his presidency. In an hour-long special that aired last night, the president talked about everything from 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina to his relationship with his parents, Iraq, and his decision to authorize the waterboarding of an al-Qaeda operative.
I said to our team, are the techniques legal? And a legal team says, yes, they are. And I said, use them.
Why is waterboarding legal, in your opinion?
Because the lawyer said it was legal. It said it did not fall within the Anti-Torture Act. I'm not a lawyer. But you got to trust the judgment of people around you, and I do.
Let's bring back our company, Christina Bellantoni, former Governor Jim Gilmore, and Bernard Whitman. Right after that, Matt asked, but you went to the legal team to get opinions you wanted. That's what some people said. And he basically responded that those techniques saved lives. Bernard, do you think that's how people will remember it?
No, I don't think so at all. The majority of the American people are against torture. It's against the Geneva Convention. It's outrageous, though not surprising, that the president answered in that fashion. There is not a shred of evidence, Chris, to suggest that torture, which is morally wrong, helps save any lives whatsoever.
Governor, do you think it saved lives?
It probably got information that was helpful to our intelligence people. We haven't had further attacks. But there is, as was just discussed, another side of that coin, and that is that America does lose its credibility. It loses its sense of moral superiority that we've always tried to assert. So there's a price to be paid for it, and I think it's a judgment call. But the president was in a position where he was trying to make a judgment call to protect people in a time of high emotion and high danger. And in fact, that danger continues. We just saw it this past week. So the point is, there's going to be an ongoing struggle ahead of us here, and things can, in fact, become even more dangerous. And I think reading the president's memoirs can be instructive to us.
Well, Matt also asked him about the impact of Hurricane Katrina, especially that famous photo, you know, where Air Force One is flying over Louisiana, and he's looking out the window, but he doesn't land. Take a listen.
Was it the event that damaged your presidency more than any other event?
I think it reinforced damage that was taking place. I had failed to get Congress to move on Social Security. Iraq was still very difficult. And so Katrina came along, and it gave critics an opportunity to kind of undermine the presidency, I guess.
And a lot of people are jumping on that, Christina, his suggestion that it gave critics an opportunity. Did Katrina give them an opportunity? Did George Bush give them an opportunity?
Well, sort of all of the above. I mean, that was certainly gave Democrats a lot of fuel to campaign in 2006 and win back control of Congress, and it compounded some of the problems that you'd seen with the president. I mean, this is a fascinating interview where he actually says the words, "I failed." You know, that's something, as we were talking about in the last segment, you know, president sort of acknowledging shortcomings is very interesting. And I'm very curious to see how much President George W. Bush former President George W. Bush is able to rebuild his image in a way that maybe 2012 presidential contenders would see him on the trail again. As we all remember, he was absent completely from the 2008 campaign trail. Can this restore his image a little bit and help him raise money for Republicans and then ultimately campaign with whoever the nominee is going to be to challenge President Obama?
Yeah,
I mean,
there are a lot of people who have read the book, and I have not, but they say, you know, in terms of policy, there's no shocking revelations, but it does give you sort of a view into this man. And one in particular that I think did raise a lot of eyebrows. He was a teenager. His mother, Barbara Bush, miscarried. And he said that she showed him the remains of the fetus, which were in a jar. He wrote, "There was a human life, a little brother or sister." Let me play that.
It's also, though, impossible not to draw parallels between that moment where you said this was a little brother or sister and your views on life.
That's
and
true.
When it begins.
No question that affected me, my philosophy, that we should respect life.
Bernard, as you watch this, do you think there's anything in here that will change people's views of George W. Bush?
Well, I must say I was somewhat surprised that Barbara Bush allowed that story to go into the memoir, but clearly...
And he made a big point to say, I would never have written it if she didn't say it was okay.
And I absolutely believe that's true. I think that ultimately the former First Lady decided this is her son's chance to reclaim his, reconnect with the American people emotionally, and I think he used that story to humanize himself and to sort of say, you know, this is who I am as a person as opposed to a political figure or as a former president. I think that will reinforce goodwill that he has among the far right and the pro-life forces. I think most Americans are going to sort of see that as a bit over the top and a bit of a stretch. And frankly, people really found that, I think, a little too much.
Bernard, thank you for being with us. Governor Gilmore, always good to see you. Christina, thanks.